Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that changed my life, something I wish someone had told me sooner. Discipline is the bridge between what you hate and what you love. And if you want to live a life of freedom, of abundance, of strength, you're going to have to force yourself, yes, force yourself, to do what you hate. Discipline is the bridge between hate and success. It's a simple phrase, but it carries the entire weight of achievement. Most people think success is about talent or passion or being in the right place at the right time. Those things help, yes, but without discipline, they amount to nothing more than wasted potential. Discipline is what takes the things you hate doing, the early mornings, the tedious tasks, the uncomfortable conversations, and turns them into stepping stones towards something meaningful. Let's be honest, nobody wakes up thrilled to do the hard, boring, unpleasant things. You're not supposed to enjoy every step of the process. That's not how this works. In fact, the very nature of growth requires you to lean into what you naturally resist. It demands that you go against your instincts, that you silence the voice in your head telling you to take it easy, that you push past your feelings and operate from principles instead. Most of the time, the things we hate are the very things we need. We hate the gym because it's uncomfortable. We hate budgeting because it forces us to confront our bad habits. We hate discipline because it restricts us from doing what we want when we want. But what we want in the moment is almost never what we need in the long run. That's where discipline enters the picture, not as a punishment, but as a pathway. Discipline is not about denying yourself joy. It's about delaying it. It's about understanding that the pleasure of progress is far greater than the pleasure of procrastination. Anyone can skip the workout, ignore the call, or scroll through their phone instead of learning a new skill. That's easy, that's natural. But if you keep doing what's easy, life will eventually become hard. The key is to do what's hard now, so life becomes easier later. The bridge part of the phrase is crucial, because it implies that where you are and where you want to be are separated by something. That something is action, deliberate, consistent, and often uncomfortable action. It's doing the things that most people aren't willing to do. That's why the top 5% in any field aren't just the smartest or most gifted. They're the ones who showed up when it was inconvenient, who studied when others slept, who practiced when others partied. They built that bridge brick by brick through discipline. You can't avoid the things you hate and expect to win. That's a delusion. It's easy to coast on charm or talent for a little while, but eventually life catches up. Challenges arrive, weaknesses get exposed, and when that time comes, only discipline will keep you standing, not emotion, not willpower in the moment, but the habit of pushing through, even when you'd rather quit. People love to talk about passion. Follow your passion, they say, but passion fades. Passion can't carry you through exhaustion. It doesn't show up on cold mornings or late nights. Discipline does. It doesn't care how you feel. It only cares that you show up. That you do what you said you'd do, long after the mood in which you said it has passed. Discipline takes emotion out of the equation. It's not about feeling like it. It's about deciding. It's about choosing who you want to become and paying the price every day. And yes, the price is high. You'll have to sacrifice comfort, ease, and sometimes even your pride. But the return is massive. Confidence, respect, freedom. Those things aren't given. They're earned through daily deposits of disciplined action. Let's be clear, success is not about giant leaps. It's not one lucky break or one bold move. It's small, repeated steps, tiny disciplines stacked on top of each other, and most of those steps, they don't feel good. They don't look glamorous, they're not fun, but they build the bridge. Every time you do the thing you hate for the sake of the goal you love, you lay another brick. You move one step closer. So when you're facing something you hate, something tedious, tough, or don't run from it. Lean into it, because every task you hate is a test. It asks you, do you want the result badly enough? And your answer isn't in what you say, it's in what you do. Discipline is the answer. It's the mechanism. The vehicle, the bridge. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It's a phrase that holds a simple but profound truth about why so many people remain stuck, never moving forward in their lives or their dreams. When you settle into comfort, you're essentially choosing the known over the unknown, the safe over the challenging, and the easy path over the difficult one. But growth, real growth, the kind that transforms you and your life, never happens in comfort zones. It happens in discomfort, in struggle, in the deliberate effort to stretch beyond what feels easy. Think about it for a moment. When you are comfortable, your body relaxes, your mind slows down, and your habits reinforce the status quo. This might feel good for a little while, but what happens over time? The comfort zone becomes a cage, and inside that cage, you shrink. Your potential shrinks. Your ideas shrink. Your vision for your life shrinks. You become smaller than you were meant to be because growth demands movement, challenge, and sometimes even pain. Comfort tricks us into thinking we are safe. We confuse safety with security, and security with success. But here's the reality. If you want to be successful, if you want to reach new heights, comfort will stand in your way like a thick fog. It blurs your vision and numbs your ambition. You start to tell yourself stories like "I'm fine where I am," or "this is good enough." Those are the whispers of comfort pulling you back, telling you to stay put. Growth, on the other hand, requires risk. It asks you to leave behind what you know and step into the uncertain. It demands that you try new things, face new challenges, and sometimes fail spectacularly. Growth is uncomfortable because it means pushing against the current of habit and familiarity. It's about saying no to the easy choice and yes to the difficult one. When you choose growth, you accept that discomfort is part of the process, and not just a side effect, but an essential ingredient. If you want to build strength, you have to lift weights that challenge your muscles. If you want to become smarter, you have to read books that stretch your mind and force you to think differently. If you want to improve your relationships, you have to have difficult conversations and be vulnerable. None of these things happen inside the comfort zone. They happen in the arena where discomfort meets determination. Many people avoid discomfort at all costs. They prefer short-term pleasure over long-term gain. But the problem with that approach is it leads to stagnation. When you refuse to leave comfort, you also refuse to grow. Your skills plateau, your mindset becomes fixed, and your life becomes predictable and, ultimately, unfulfilling. Discomfort is the indicator that growth is occurring. When you feel awkward, challenged, or uneasy, it means you're on the edge of something new. Instead of retreating, lean into those feelings. Use them as a compass pointing you toward what you need to do next. The discomfort means you're expanding your boundaries and developing new capacities. It's important to realize that comfort isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional too. Sometimes the most powerful forms of comfort are the stories we tell ourselves, the excuses we make, the limiting beliefs we cling to. I'm not ready, I don't have the time, I'm too old, I don't have the right background. These thoughts are mental comfort zones. They keep you in a safe place but prevent you from moving forward. Growth requires breaking those mental chains. It requires being honest with yourself about where you are and where you want to go. It demands that you confront your fears, doubts, and insecurities head on. And that's uncomfortable, but remember, comfort will always lie to you, telling you it's better to stay where you are than to risk change. Growth tells you the opposite. If you want to be more, you have to do more. And more often than not, more means uncomfortable. Some of the most successful people in the world will tell you their greatest breakthroughs came from embracing discomfort. They built habits and routines that forced them to confront what they didn't like, what they were afraid of, and what they wanted to avoid. They didn't wait for motivation or inspiration to strike. They showed up every day and chose growth over comfort. In fact, one way to build resilience and growth is to deliberately seek discomfort. It might mean waking up earlier than you want, exercising when you're tired, tackling a challenging project, or having a tough conversation you've been avoiding. The more you practice leaning into discomfort, the easier it becomes to expand your limits. Comfort is tempting because it's familiar and safe. But if you want to change your life, build new skills, or achieve something remarkable, you must become comfortable being uncomfortable. The discomfort is the signal that you're growing, evolving, and moving forward. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. One must give way to the other. If you choose comfort, growth stops. If you choose growth, comfort must be left behind. Do it for who you become, not for how you feel. This is a principle that cuts to the heart of why so many people fail to follow through on their goals. Too often, we start a task or a journey motivated by feelings excitement, enthusiasm, or a burst of inspiration. But as soon as those feelings fade, so does our commitment. We give up because we no longer feel like continuing. But the truth is, feelings are unreliable and fleeting. They come and go like waves. What matters far more is the person you are becoming through the process, the identity you are shaping with every action you take. If you want lasting change, you have to detach from the mood of the moment. You have to look beyond your current emotional state and focus on the bigger picture, who you are becoming. When you do something just because it feels good, you're living in the moment. When you do it for who you want to become, you're living for your future. This shift in perspective is powerful. It moves your motivation from external, temporary highs to internal, lasting transformation. Every habit you build, every challenge you overcome, every uncomfortable step you take is not just about the immediate result, it's about sculpting your character. When you force yourself to do what you don't want to do, you're training discipline, resilience, and courage. You're teaching your mind and body that you're not controlled by fleeting emotions. Instead, you become someone who can act with purpose, regardless of how you feel. Feelings are fickle because they respond to your environment, your physical state, and random thoughts that cross your mind. Sometimes you wake up feeling great and ready to conquer the day. Other times, you wake up tired, discouraged, or anxious. If you rely solely on feelings to get you moving, you will be inconsistent. You will hit peaks and valleys. Your progress will stall, and your goals will remain out of reach. But the person you become is shaped by what you do consistently, not occasionally. You don't become healthy by working out once when you're feeling motivated. You become healthy by showing up day after day, even when you don't want to. You don't become a great writer by writing one inspired piece. You become a great writer by committing to the craft through discipline, practice, and persistence. This means that sometimes you have to act in spite of your feelings. Sometimes you have to get started even if you're tired, distracted, or uninspired. Sometimes you have to push through the resistance because the person you want to be demands it. It's not about denying your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that feelings don't get to make your decisions. You do. This approach also builds confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can act independently of how you feel, you gain a new sense of control over your life. You realize that you are not a victim of circumstance or mood. You become the master of your own destiny. This empowerment is the foundation of all success. The secret to this is building habits and routines that don't rely on motivation or mood. When discipline becomes automatic, it removes the emotional variable. For example, setting a fixed time to exercise each day means you don't have to debate whether you feel like it. You simply do it because that is who you are, a person who prioritizes health and follows through. Similarly, if you want to improve your skills or knowledge, you schedule regular study sessions or reading times. Even if you're not feeling inspired, you stick to the schedule because your identity is tied to being a learner, a person committed to growth. This is why it's so important to clarify your identity and your values before chasing any goal. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? What kind of person acts even when it's hard? What traits do I want to embody? Once you have a clear picture of that person, every action you take becomes a vote for that identity. Every time you do what you don't feel like doing, you cast a vote for the disciplined, determined, resilient person you want to be. And those votes add up. Over time, your actions hardwire a new version of yourself into your daily life. This new identity then becomes your default, and acting in alignment with it becomes easier. On the other hand, if you wait for feelings to guide you, you're essentially voting for inconsistency, procrastination, and failure. It's a trap that keeps you stuck. The good news is that you have the power to change which identity you're building by choosing actions, not feelings. So, the next time you face a task you dislike, a challenge that feels overwhelming, or a moment when you don't feel motivated, remind yourself, you're not doing this because you feel like it. You're doing it because of who you are becoming. That shift in mindset is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who watch their dreams slip away. This principle also builds patience. Transformation rarely happens overnight. It's a slow, steady process. When you do something for who you become, you accept that the payoff is long-term. You learn to trust the process even when immediate results aren't visible. You understand that every small, disciplined action is a seed planted in the soil of your future self. By focusing on who you become rather than how you feel, you gain clarity and purpose. You become less swayed by distractions and setbacks. You develop the kind of resilience that turns obstacles into opportunities and failure into feedback. Ultimately, success and fulfillment come not from chasing feelings, but from cultivating an identity aligned with your highest aspirations. The moment you internalize this truth, you unlock a power far greater than motivation, one that sustains you through every trial and triumph. Easy choices lead to a hard life. Hard choices lead to an easy life. This idea might sound paradoxical at first, but when you dig deeper, it reveals one of the most important truths about how life works and how success is built. It's a principle that explains why some people struggle their entire lives, while others seem to find a smoother path, not because they're lucky, but because they made difficult decisions early on. When we talk about easy choices, we're referring to the decisions that offer immediate gratification, comfort, or avoidance of effort. It's choosing to scroll on your phone instead of working on your goals, eating junk food instead of preparing a healthy meal, procrastinating on tasks instead of facing them head on. These choices feel good in the moment because they require less energy and pain. They're appealing because they keep discomfort at bay. But here's the catch. Those easy choices pile up over time, and their consequences catch up with you. Living a life full of easy choices means you're constantly dealing with the long-term effects of those short-term decisions. Skipping workouts means poorer health later. Ignoring savings means financial stress down the road. Avoiding hard conversations means broken relationships or missed opportunities. The ease you choose today often turns into complexity and difficulty in the future. The easy now becomes hard later, and many people spend their lives trying to fix problems that stem from the easy choices they once made. On the other side of the equation are hard choices. These are decisions that require effort, sacrifice, and discipline. They are often unpopular and uncomfortable. Waking up early to work on your goals, saying no to distractions, investing time in learning new skills, or making tough financial decisions all fall into this category. These choices are difficult because they challenge your comfort and demand consistency. They require you to prioritize long-term benefits over short-term pleasure. But here's the powerful truth. Making hard choices consistently lays the foundation for an easier life in the future. When you invest effort upfront, you build habits, skills, and resources that serve you later. That early discomfort pays off with greater freedom, health, wealth, and peace of mind. You start to experience life with fewer crises, more control, and more opportunities. The hard work you do now smooths the path ahead, making tomorrow easier. This principle is like planting seeds. Easy choices are like scattering weeds. They might seem harmless, but they choke growth and create problems. Hard choices are like planting strong trees. They require care and effort, but over time they provide shade, fruit, and shelter. If you want to enjoy the benefits later, you have to be willing to endure the effort now. It's important to recognize that this principle applies to every area of life: health, finances, relationships, career, and personal growth. In health, choosing to eat nutritious food and exercise regularly might feel difficult compared to indulging in quick comfort foods and inactivity. But the payoff is vitality, longevity, and less disease. In finances, budgeting and saving are hard disciplines, but they lead to financial security and freedom. In relationships, having honest and sometimes difficult conversations builds trust and connection, while avoiding conflict leads to resentment and distance. Many people don't see this connection clearly because they focus on short-term results rather than long-term outcomes. They want quick fixes and immediate rewards, but life rarely works that way. Lasting success and fulfillment come from accumulating wise, often hard decisions over time. The easy route might give momentary pleasure, but it rarely leads to lasting happiness or success. Another reason people avoid hard choices is fear. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, or fear of change. Hard choices push you out of your comfort zone and into unfamiliar territory, but growth and progress always happen outside comfort zones. The more you choose hard choices, the more you build confidence and resilience. You learn that discomfort is temporary and manageable, and that the rewards on the other side are worth the struggle. This principle also teaches the importance of delayed gratification. It means valuing future rewards more than immediate pleasure. When you practice delayed gratification, you strengthen your ability to make hard choices because you're focused on the payoff, not the pain. This mindset is crucial for building wealth, health, and any form of success. It's easy to rationalize and justify easy choices because they feel good in the moment. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve a break. Or just one time won't hurt. Are common thoughts that keep people trapped in a cycle of avoidance. But each time you give in to easy choices, you're making the hard parts of life even harder down the line. Conversely, when you commit to making hard choices today, you set yourself up for a life where many things become easier. Your health improves, your relationships deepen, your finances stabilize, and your confidence grows. You develop a mindset of discipline and intentionality. Life becomes easier because you've done the hard work up front, and you continue to build on that foundation. This principle is why discipline matters so much. Discipline is the tool that helps you consistently choose hard decisions over easy ones. It's what keeps you focused on long-term benefits when short-term feelings tempt you otherwise. The ability to delay gratification and embrace discomfort in the present is what separates those who succeed from those who settle. In essence, your future self depends on the choices you make today. The hard choices you make now are gifts to your future, while easy choices are debts you'll have to pay later. Understanding this can change the way you approach every decision. It's not about avoiding pain forever, but choosing the right kind of pain, the pain of growth, effort, and discipline, that leads to an easier and more fulfilling life. When you internalize this truth, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to invest in your future. You start to value the process more than the immediate reward, and with time, you build a life that feels easier not because it's without challenges, but because you've prepared yourself to handle them with strength and grace. Habits beat motivation every time. This statement cuts to the core of what truly drives success and change in our lives. Motivation is often celebrated as the key to getting things done. We hear about motivation all the time. Find your motivation. Stay motivated. Motivation will carry you through, but the truth is, motivation is unpredictable. It fluctuates day by day, hour by hour, sometimes even minute by minute. It is unreliable, fleeting, and not something you can depend on when you need to show up consistently. Habits, on the other hand, are steady, dependable, and powerful forces that shape your life quietly but profoundly. Motivation feels like a spark. It's that sudden burst of energy and enthusiasm you get when you're excited about a new idea, a fresh goal, or a moment of inspiration. But sparks die out quickly if they're not nurtured. Motivation might get you started, but it rarely keeps you going when things get tough, boring, or inconvenient. When the initial excitement fades, that's when most people give up. They wait for motivation to return, and when it doesn't, their progress stalls. Habits are different. Habits are built by repetition, by doing something over and over again until it becomes automatic, a natural part of your daily routine. Once a habit is formed, it requires little mental effort to maintain. It no longer depends on how motivated you feel, because it has become part of your identity and your environment. Habits shape your life by creating structure and momentum that carry you forward even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Consider the difference between trying to rely on motivation to exercise versus making exercise a habit. If you rely solely on motivation, you'll only work out when you feel like it, which might be a few days or weeks before your enthusiasm fades. But if you create a habit, like working out at the same time every day, you don't have to think about motivation. Your body and mind adapt to the routine, and eventually, skipping a workout feels more uncomfortable than doing it. This is why successful people focus less on motivation and more on building strong habits. They understand that motivation is temporary, but habits are permanent. They design their lives to support positive habits through planning, consistency, and environment. For example, they set up cues and triggers that remind them to act, remove obstacles that create friction, and reward themselves in ways that reinforce the behavior. Another important point is that habits compound over time. Small, consistent actions lead to big results. You might not notice dramatic changes day to day, but as habits build, the cumulative effect becomes undeniable. Just like saving money gradually grows into a large sum, positive habits accumulate into a life of success and fulfillment. The opposite is also true. Negative habits compound into problems that become harder to fix the longer they are ignored. Habits also help you overcome the challenge of willpower. Willpower is a limited resource. Every decision you make drains a little bit of it. If you rely on willpower alone to push through every obstacle, you'll burn out quickly. Habits automate behavior, so you don't have to use willpower all the time. This preserves your energy for moments when you really need to make tough choices. Building habits isn't always easy, but it's simpler than many think when approached correctly. The key is starting small. Trying to overhaul your entire life overnight is overwhelming and unsustainable. Instead, focus on tiny habits that are so easy you can't say no. For example, commit to just one push-up a day or reading one page of a book. Once the tiny habit is established, it naturally grows into something bigger. This approach removes resistance and makes it easier to stay consistent. Environment plays a huge role in habit formation as well. You are a product of your surroundings, and if your environment is filled with distractions, temptations, and triggers for bad habits, it will be much harder to create and maintain good ones. Successful people design their environment intentionally to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. They put their workout clothes where they can see them, remove junk food from the house, or schedule focused time blocks for work. Changing your environment is a powerful way to support your habits without relying on motivation. Accountability is another powerful tool to reinforce habits. When someone else expects you to follow through, or when you publicly commit to a goal, your motivation gets a boost from the social pressure and responsibility. This doesn't replace habits, but it can help you get started and stay on track until the habit becomes automatic. It's important to recognize that habits don't have to be perfect. Missing a day here and there doesn't mean failure. What matters is returning quickly to the habit and maintaining the overall pattern. Habits build resilience by teaching you that progress isn't about perfection, but about persistence. Over time, the habit becomes part of who you are, and your identity shifts. Instead of thinking, "I want to be someone who exercises," you become someone who simply exercises. The habit becomes your norm. This is why focusing on habits is far more effective than waiting for motivation to strike. Motivation is the mood you can't count on. Habits are the foundation you build, so you can act regardless of mood. When habits are strong, they carry you through the inevitable ups and downs of life. They keep you moving forward even when motivation fades, distractions arise, or challenges appear. In the end, if you want to change your life, create lasting success, or build new skills, you must prioritize habits over motivation. Build systems that support your goals. Show up consistently. Focus on small, repeatable actions. Over time, those habits will transform your life more than any burst of motivation ever could. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It's a phrase that captures a fundamental truth about success. No matter how clear your goals are or how strong your desire might be, without discipline, those goals remain distant dreams. Discipline is the daily commitment to show up, to do the work, and to follow through, even when motivation is low, distractions are high, and challenges arise. It's the unwavering dedication to your purpose that turns intentions into reality. Many people underestimate the power of discipline because they confuse it with punishment or rigidity. They think discipline means forcing yourself into a harsh, joyless routine, a constant struggle against your natural desires. But discipline is not about deprivation, it's about direction. It's the choice to align your actions with your values and goals, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's the ability to stay on course, to resist short-term temptations that lead you away from your vision. Goals provide the destination, but discipline paves the road. Without discipline, goals remain vague wishes or fleeting thoughts. They are ideas without momentum. Discipline creates structure, habits, routines, and systems that move you steadily toward what you want. It transforms the overwhelming task of reaching a big goal into manageable daily steps. When discipline is strong, the distance between where you are and where you want to be shrinks with every consistent action. Discipline also teaches patience. Results rarely come overnight, and the journey toward any meaningful achievement is often long and filled with setbacks. Without discipline, frustration and impatience can easily derail your progress. But discipline helps you endure the slow and steady grind, reminding you that consistency over time is what produces lasting change. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving forward when progress feels invisible. Another key aspect of discipline is self-control, the ability to delay gratification. In a world full of distractions, temptations, and instant rewards, self-control becomes a crucial skill. Discipline means choosing what's best for your future over what feels best right now. It's saying no to short-term pleasures that compromise your long-term goals. This ability to prioritize delayed rewards is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who settle for comfort and convenience. Discipline is also about resilience. Life throws challenges, failures, and obstacles at everyone. Discipline is the mindset that allows you to keep going despite these setbacks. It means getting back up after failure, learning from mistakes, and refusing to quit. Discipline builds mental toughness because it trains you to act consistently, not just when things are easy or when motivation is high, but especially when it's hard. The foundation of discipline lies in commitment. Making a decision and fully committing to it creates a psychological contract with yourself. This commitment becomes a source of power when your resolve is tested. It's important to clearly define your why, the reason behind your goals, because a strong why fuels discipline. When you connect your daily actions to a meaningful purpose, discipline becomes easier to sustain. Creating discipline requires intentionality and planning. It's not something that happens by accident or by waiting for motivation to strike. You must design your life to support discipline. This means setting clear priorities, eliminating distractions, and building routines that make good habits automatic. Structure removes the need for constant decision-making, conserving your willpower for the moments that matter most. Discipline also thrives on consistency. It's better to do a little every day than to try to do everything all at once. Small, consistent actions add up and prevent burnout. Discipline is less about intensity and more about persistence. Showing up regularly, even when you don't feel like it, is the essence of disciplined living. Accountability enhances discipline by adding an external layer of commitment. When others are aware of your goals and progress, you are more likely to follow through. Accountability can come from mentors, coaches, friends, or even self-imposed systems like tracking your habits. It creates social pressure and support that reinforce your discipline. Many people struggle with discipline because they rely too much on motivation or willpower alone. While these are helpful, they are not sustainable over the long term. Motivation fluctuates and willpower can be depleted. Discipline, however, is cultivated through repeated action and reinforced by habit. The more disciplined you become, the easier it is to maintain discipline. It creates a positive feedback loop. Ultimately, discipline is the greatest equalizer. Talent, intelligence, and circumstances matter, but discipline is what levels the playing field. Anyone willing to develop discipline can achieve extraordinary results. It's a skill you can build, strengthen, and rely on regardless of external conditions. Discipline frees you from the tyranny of mood and environment. It allows you to control your behavior and steer your life with intention. It empowers you to rise above excuses, procrastination, and distractions. With discipline, you become the architect of your own destiny, shaping your life one decision at a time. Mastering discipline is a lifelong journey. It requires daily commitment and continual growth. But as discipline grows, so does your confidence, your sense of control, and your ability to achieve what once seemed impossible. The bridge between your dreams and your accomplishments is built one disciplined step at a time.